Hare Krishna. We welcome all devotees to our Sunday festival. Thank you for coming, and tomorrow is a very special day. Tomorrow is Gita Jayanti, the day Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So Baldev Prabhu asked me to speak on the two occasions. One is Gita Jayanti, and also tomorrow is the starting of the Srila Prabhupada book marathon. December, we celebrate book marathon where we distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, especially Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Srimad Bhagavatam in large numbers. So to commemorate both events, so Baldev Prabhu suggested we speak something on this. I request all of you to hear Baldev Prabhu's beautiful class last Sunday. It was a very community-centered class where he explained how our goal in the marathon is not numbers to get a lot of book scores, but it is to help us get a taste of what it is to give Krishna to others, the experience of sharing Krishna consciousness. So that was a very, very beautiful class. So honoring that mood, today I took this verse number 10 of the 10th chapter. So Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Vedic scriptures. Shankaracharya says this, Sarvo Panishado Gavo Dogda Gopala Nandana Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gitamritam Mahat. He says all the Upanishads are like cow. Sarvo Panishado Gavo. And Krishna is the cowherd boy. Dogda Gopala Nandana. And Arjuna is the calf. Partha Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta. The calf wants to drink what? Dugdam Gitamritam Mahat. Milk. And what is the milk? Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. And within Bhagavad Gita, the 10th chapter, verses 8, 9, 10 and 11. These 4 verses are called as the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Chatur Shloki Bhagavad Gita. So if you know these 4 verses, you know Bhagavad Gita. And if you know Bhagavad Gita, you know all the Vedic scriptures. So in the 8th verse, this is the 10th verse we have taken today. In the 8th verse, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything comes from me. The wise who perfectly know this, what they will do? They will engage in devotional service. Very clear. Krishna is saying 2 things. I am the source of everything. Once you understand this, you will engage in devotional service. So you will say, Acha, then how to understand this? That Krishna is the source of everything. The next verse, 10.9, Krishna says, Machitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. If devotees come together like this, they hear, they discuss, then what will happen? They will develop this. They'll get complete satisfaction. They will understand Krishna as the Supreme Lord. And then you will say, okay, I'm coming together with devotees. I'm hearing about Krishna, that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And Krishna is the well-wishing friend of everyone. Everything I'm doing, what is explained in 10.8 and 10.9. But I want hope, confidence, inspiration that Krishna loves me. Krishna takes care of me. Krishna is listening to me. And that formula, how can we know Krishna is taking care of us? How can we be assured of Krishna's presence in our life? That is explained in today's verse. This is called as a sincerity verse. Krishna is saying, just be sincere. So what is he saying in today's verse? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. Always we have this confusion. What is the right thing to do? Many devotees, Prabhu, ye karna hai ki wo karna hai? Anybody goes through confusion? You are normal people. We all go through confusion, no? What is the right decision to take? And there are occasions in our life when no devotee will be able to help you. Sometimes it will happen that you have to take your own decision. We'll consult devotees. They will guide us. But ultimately it has to be your call, my call. That time if we have sincerely rendered with priti, tesham vatata yuktanam bhajatam, Preeti Purvakam, Krishna, I love you. Krishna, I want to serve you. In this mood, when we do bhakti, then what Krishna does? Dadami. I will give buddhi yogam. I will give you intelligence by which you can come to me. And Prabhupada writes here, just be sincere. If you are sincere and devoted, then Krishna will give you the intelligence. Very, very hope-giving verses. But the key is, Krishna will guide. We should be ready for Krishna's guidance. But from our side, what we have to do? Sincere desire to serve. If this is there, then Krishna will guide. I'll give a very nice example. Recently, I was hearing His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj's class. So he was speaking on this, how Krishna guides if we are sincere. So he was giving his own example. So he was saying that he was giving initiation ceremony. So one Prabhupada disciple, Mataji, she came to him and she said, Maharaj, tomorrow you are initiating my son. So my son's name is Gaur Kishore. He was born on Gaur Kishore Das Babaji's appearance day. So we have named him Gaur Kishore. So when you are giving him initiation, don't change his name. Because he was born on an auspicious day. So then Maharaj said, oh, I am her servant. I cannot refuse her instruction. So I said, okay, Mataji. And then after some time, the son came, who is going to take initiation tomorrow. He said, Maharaj, my parents have given me the name Gaur Kishore. But Maharaj, tomorrow when you give me initiation, please change my name. Of course, if you so desire, Maharaj, you are ultimately the spiritual master. But I don't want the same name. I want a different name, Maharaj. So Maharaj said, okay, I am everybody's servant. I want to please him. Then Maharaj said, I was confused. What to do? But I had a sincere desire to serve both. So I sincerely, intensely prayed to Krishna. And Maharaj says that till the last minute I was clueless. I didn't know how to please both of them. So as he came forward and he took the vows, till that time I was blank, Maharaj said. And when I was giving him the beads, suddenly from my tongue came the name Gauranga Kishore Das. So when I gave that name, I saw the mother was very happy. She felt I have not changed the name. And the son also felt very happy because he felt that I changed the name. So then Maharaj was saying, what we can do, we just have to be sincere. And Krishna has his own plan. So you see Prabhupada also, even our Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj, and all devotees, you will see they always focus on this, sincerity. And I always used to wonder, we always have this question, how can I know I'm sincere, right? Because if sincerity is the key, then we want to be sincere all the time. But then sometimes we get doubts about our sincerity also. Maybe I'm not sincere. Maybe Krishna will not help me. So from reading Journey Home and hearing few of Maharaj's classes, I understood that there are two things about sincerity. So if these two boxes we are ticking, that means we are sincere. So you don't have to get too much stressed in life. Then you are sincere. Then you have to wait for Krishna to play his flute. Krishna will do what he has to do. So what are the two things we have to do? So Maharaj explains this through his own story. That when he was a young boy, he had left home, that. He left Chicago, went on searching for God. Then he came to Himalayas. He says in the Himalayan mountain caves, he felt intense pain and guilt that he is making his parents very unhappy. His parents were in a lot of anxiety because he had left home. So from the mountain caves in Himalayas, he wrote a letter to his parents. And he says, as I was writing that letter, I was feeling devastated that I'm hurting them. And then the only thing that made me peaceful was when I meditated on sincerity. That if I'm really sincere, then Krishna will take care of them. And then Maharaj says, eventually now when I look back, I see that Krishna has taken care of both of them. So two things Maharaj says there. That one is, am I being honest about my needs and my calling? Because Maharaj was very honest. As a young boy, he was very honest because that was his calling. He knew that he should not break his parents' heart, but his calling was very strong. So he says, I was honest about my needs, my calling. And second, now sometimes in the name of honesty, we may become very selfish. But then Maharaj says, along with honesty, we should also seek to go beyond ourselves. It's not everything, spirituality is not everything about myself. It's about giving to Krishna, giving to others. So if you are doing these two things, rising beyond self, but not, sometimes we rise beyond self, but we ignore our own calling. And we become very dissatisfied within because we are not following our needs, our inner calling. So it has to be both. It has to be my calling, my connection, my desires, my needs, but in a mood of trying to give as much as possible to others. If both are there, then Krishna will take care. And that is called sincerity. And then if we do that, what will happen? How will Krishna take care? The next verse, the 4 verses in Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, we have covered 3. In the last verse, Krishna says how he will take care. You can repeat this verse after me. Teshamevanukampartam aham ajnanajam tama nashayam atma bhavasto jnanadipena bhasvata. Krishna says, I am in the heart of everyone. What I will do, I will light the lamp of knowledge. So we are in darkness, we are confused. Suddenly, aham ajnana jam tama, I will remove the darkness. How? Jnana deepena bhasvata. I will give you clarity. I will give you the guidance. You will understand what to do, what not to do. Krishna lights the lamp from within. Since this is a marathon month, I'm remembering one incident when around 26 years ago, when I was looking after the go down. I remember there was one young boy who had come from South India. He was working in a restaurant as a cleaner. So his job would start at 4 in the morning. He had to do the grinding and all of that in our Krishna Sharan Prabhu's restaurant, Radhika Pati Prabhu's restaurant. So this boy would work from 4 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. And then he would become free. But he was very sincere. He would come to temple but he didn't know English. He didn't know Hindi also. Very broken Hindi. He didn't know Marathi, of course, because he's from South India. Because I am from the same village, he would speak to me in our language. And then I would try to teach him, educate him. He was illiterate also. So I would teach him, this is Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta, Saraswati Thakur. Then I would point out the paintings there and would say, this is Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. And he would memorize. And next week again he would forget. And he would mix up names. He would say, oh, this is Prabhupada. Prabhupada he knew, because the DT is also there. And the others he would say, all mix up the names. And then he would say, but Prabhuji, I know they are all, our shelter. That much he would say. We have to take shelter of them. So when the marathon month came, I didn't expect him to go and distribute books. But these verses of Gita, the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, I saw in action in him. Sincere desire and very honest. No beating around the bush, no putting up a pretense, not being what he is not. So from 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when his job got over, he would carry 2 big bags of books and walk from his restaurant, which was at Prabhadevi. From there, he would walk up to Gateway of India every day. And he would distribute 50, 60 Bhagavad Gitas every day. And he didn't know English, Hindi, he didn't know reading and writing. And I said, how will you do this? He would say, I would give the book, and taxi drivers, anybody would give them, and you would tell them, "Arey, bahut acha book hai, Bhagwan ka hai, Gita hai, padhna chahiye." And they would ask him, "But इसमें क्या लिखा है? आप बताओ क्या आपने पढ़ा है?" बोलते, "मेरे को नहीं आता है, पर हमारे मंदिर में बहुत प्रभु जी लोग हैं, उनको सब आता है." Krishna Bhagwan hai. Simple things he would speak, and people would buy books because of his purity. And in the night, he would, before going back to the place of work, he would come and tell me the report, beaming with joy. And one day, when he had a describe, I felt today, and one particular day, he didn't have to go up to, he took a detour and he went to one place while coming from Prabhadevi near Bombay Central. He went somewhere. He said, near Bombay Central, I went somewhere. And in 10 minutes, all the books went. I didn't have to worry only. He took a bus and came to Bombay Central. He went in one gully and he said, 10 minutes, sab khatam ho gaya, Prabhuji. Books hi nahi tha. So he came back early to temple and he was so excited. I said, "Arey, kaun sa jagah pe gaya?" He said, "Ek colony mein gaya." Then he started describing the colony, and then I understood where he had gone. He had gone to the red light area. And I was shocked because now the way he was describing about the women there and the people and all the kind of sound and the kind of things they were speaking, this fellow did not understand. He did not realize that he was in a red light area. And then when he explained, I said, do you know where you landed? Then I explained to him what it was, where he was and what those women were. And then he went, yeah, Prabhuji, now I understand. Usko thora light bulb der se jala. But Krishna says what? I light the bulb. So Krishna used him as an instrument by lighting the Jnana Deepena Bhaswata. Krishna lit another light in his head, gave him the intelligence to preach to all these women there who were waiting for their customers. And there comes Prabhupada's agent, Krishna's representative, sends this boy to purify their lives. He was, I think, the second or third highest book distributor that particular year. His score was the highest. One of the top book distributors. So this is a classic case of how, if we are sincere, Krishna guides. And there can be nobody more sincere than Srila Prabhupada in wanting to give Krishna to everyone. So Bhagavad Gita, how Bhagavad Gita landed in Russia. This is an amazing story of sincerity. See, Bhagavad Gita, we distribute freely here. Nobody stops us. But you have to understand how Srila Prabhupada and Bhagavad Gita entered Russia. Now, Srila Prabhupada, 1966, he started ISKCON. In 6 years, by 1971, ISKCON had spread all over the world. Except USSR, United Soviet Socialist Republic. Srila Prabhupada had ISKCON centers in America, Australia, Africa also. He had sent Brahmanand Swami. India also he had started slowly. Canada, UK, George Harrison had become devotee. So things were going on. And then Srila Prabhupada says, I want to go to Russia. So he had already accomplished his mission. His mission of spreading Krishna consciousness, he had already accomplished. And he was 71 years old. So what he was now attempting to do, what he had already done was unprecedented in Sanatana Dharma. Nobody had ever done that. But he was ambitious. He could have gone to Vrindavan and told his Guru Maharaj and Krishna Balram and Radha Shyam Sundar that I have achieved my mission. See, we all make offerings to Lord. To our Guru, we give gifts, we give rose, we give presents. Srila Prabhupada also gave a gift. He also made an offering to the Parampara. What was Srila Prabhupada's offering to Parampara? ISKCON. And we are all part of his offering to Parampara. So he has already made that offering. But Prabhupada was not satisfied with that. He wants to do more for Krishna. So he said, I want to do more for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Let us go to USSR. Now those of you know history. Now Russia going is also difficult because of the war. But during those days, it was the most feared country. It was a communist country. Legacy of Stalin was there. Americans could not go easily there. And officially, religion preaching was considered illegal. You would be killed if you are seen as a religious preacher. Religion was officially banned in USSR, Russia. KGB was hunting down people. It's a long story. We can discuss some other time about Russia, what all was happening that time. And Srila Prabhupada is saying, no, I want to go to Russia. Devotees are trying, but they could not get visa. Nothing was happening. And then Shyam Sundar Prabhu also tried. And suddenly, because there was one professor there, Professor Kotowski. Srila Prabhupada was corresponding with him. And he agreed to invite Prabhupada for a discussion. Srila Prabhupada grabbed that small window of opportunity. And for 3 days they got visa. And they had to go within 1 day. So immediately Shyam Sundar Prabhu got tickets. And they left for Russia immediately. This is amazing. So look at his enthusiasm. He said, yes, we will go. Pran Achayar se hetu prachar. Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur says devotee is always enthusiastic to give Krishna. Srila Prabhupada at the age of 1971 is how many years old? He's 75. He's super enthusiastic to go and give Krishna to everyone. So we know that 6 years before that he went on a cargo ship to America, right? And now he's going. And they carried a few clothes and an old tape recorder and one camera with a few rolls. They went and religion is officially banned. So Shyam Sundar Prabhu and Prabhupada decided not to take Bhagavad Gita with them because they will be stopped at the customs only. So they did not take any Bhagavad Gita. So when they were leaving, now Shyam Sundar Prabhu's wife, Malti Mataji, last minute, without the knowledge of Shyam Sundar Prabhu, she was also helping in the packing. She saw one Bhagavad Gita as it is. She put it in the suitcase. And this Bhagavad Gita had lot of photographs, Prabhupada's photographs, Kirtan, devotees doing Kirtan. So, like, this page is there, like that. Many photographs were kept in between the Bhagavad Gita, inside. And she put the Gita inside. She thought, kabhi kaam aayega, pad lenge, kuch distribute kar lenge, kuch hoga. She did not realize the seriousness and gravity of the situation. So they don't know. Now, Shyam Sundar Prabhu and Prabhupada come to Russia, Moscow. They get out of the airport. And now they are going. And custom official stops Shyam Sundar Prabhu. What is there in the suitcase? He says, no, just clothes. Open. So he opens. And what is the first thing he sees? Bhagavad Gita. Of course, the cover is there. It's covered with this cloth, but that was open. Bhagavad Gita as it is. And immediately this custom official becomes very stern, grave. He says, what is this? So Shyam Sundar Prabhu is also shocked. He didn't know that Bhagavad Gita is there inside. So Bhagavad Gita, what is this? Now, before Shyam Sundar Prabhu could answer, the official turned the pages. So when he turned the pages, what happened? The photographs all fell. It all fell on the floor. And when the photographs fell, immediately that custom officer took the Gita, he put it inside the suitcase, and he got down to collect all the photographs. And he felt very apologetic that he has dropped personal belongings of Shyam Sundar Prabhu. So he collected and then said, oh, I'm so sorry. It all fell on the ground. Take it. And then Shyam Sundar Prabhu took it and then he smiled and he let them go. They came inside Russia with Bhagavad Gita safely. This is how Bhagavad Gita entered. That means that what happened, that officer forgot what he was supposed to do. He was supposed to interrogate and investigate how this book has come. But he forgot because he felt apologetic for the photographs dropping. And then they came inside. They were put in one small hotel, National Hotel. Prabhupada was very disappointed. Small room. 3 days you can't go anywhere. Because everywhere government would monitor. See, you have to read history and understand how horrible the country was at that time. You could not practice religion. You could not do anything, devotional service. And Professor Kotwaski's appointment was there. He was the very big professor at USSR Academy of Sciences. He was a professor of Indology. So they had this dialogue. And Shyam Sundar Prabhu opened the tape recorder to record the discussion. And the professor very curiously looked at the tape recorder because everything was controlled there. You cannot do anything without the government knowing. So he was like observing, and then Prabhupada and they are having dialogue on communism, spiritual communism, Krishna, God. And then Srila Prabhupada said, I want to meet all the students. I want to meet the other professors and intellectuals. And Professor Kotwaski bluntly, immediately said, no, not possible. Srila Prabhupada was very disappointed. He has come all the way, can't meet anyone except Professor Kotwaski. Because he was the only one he was allowed to meet, and that's why he got visa. Can you imagine how disappointed Srila Prabhupada must have been? But he was not the one to give up hope. Sincere desire. He said, Krishna consciousness has to spread. Srila Prabhupada said, Russia and China. He said, China will be the last to take to Krishna consciousness, but they will be they will take it up in the most powerful way. So even Russia, he wanted to go. And here is completely restricted. And during the discussion, Srila Prabhupada spoke about soul. And Professor Kotwaski made a statement. He said, Swamiji, when the body dies, the soul also dies. So he was caught in that classic moment of ignorance. And Srila Prabhupada got that statement. And for the next 3-4 years, in every second lecture, Prabhupada would say, and this big philosopher, professor in Russia, Kotwaski, he says, when the body is dead, soul is dead. So they are so mudha, foolish. So Prabhupada got good example of Professor Kotwaski to quote always. Anyway, it was very disappointing. And then, because he could not meet anyone, so he went to the top of the that university terrace with Shyam Sundar, just before going back to the hotel room. And there in the terrace, Prabhupada was looking at the streets. And Prabhupada looked at all the people walking around, and Prabhupada said, he made a prediction. He said, one day there will be a rousing Harinam Sankirtan here in the streets of Moscow. And that has come to pass. But at that time, Shyam Sundar Prabhu was thinking, what is Prabhupada saying? How will this ever happen? The sincere desire of a pure devotee, and his effort also, he's putting effort also, and he's desiring also. Today, it's easy. It happens there. And then they came, and Shyam Sundar Prabhu, see, this is Prabhupada's prediction. Prabhupada came out of Bharati Vidya Bhavan, 1971. He came out of the building, he looked at Shyam Sundar Prabhu, he pointed his cane towards this direction and said, we should have a temple here. And it has happened. So, pure devotees' desires are getting fulfilled. It was horrible, Moscow, at that time. To get 2 vegetables, Shyam Sundar Prabhu had to go and search for 6 hours. People used to eat only dry bread. Rice, he got some cheapest rice after walking for so many hours. And only in the room for 3 days. So finally they got just frustrating to be in the room all the time. So Prabhupada told him, let us go out. So there was a government guided tourism tour. They would take them on tour. So they went in that party. After some time, Prabhupada got so bored seeing all those sightseeing places. Prabhupada told that tour guide, send me back to the hotel room. So Prabhupada came back to the hotel room. And Shyam Sundar was going in the streets, and 2 young men came to him. One was a Russian boy, Ivan, I-V-A-N, Ivan, and Indian boy, Narayan. Narayan was an Indian diplomat's son in Moscow. So Narayan's friend was Ivan. So both of them saw Shyam Sundar Prabhu, American, fair, blonde-haired, and dhoti kurta. They were attracted. They came to him and said, oh, you're American. They tried to make friends. Do you have American jeans, camera? So Shyam Sundar Prabhu said, no, but I have a guru. You want to meet him? So they said, yeah. They got excited. So then he brought both of them to the hotel room. And Srila Prabhupada, and he said, Srila Prabhupada, this is Ivan and this is Narayan. And Ivan did not know any English. Very little English he knew. So Narayan would do translation. Narayan was not so interested. But Ivan was like a hungry, greedy person, asking questions, hearing. So Srila Prabhupada gave everything he had about Krishna consciousness to this one boy, Ivan. And it was night, he had to go home. So he went home. Prabhupada said, come back tomorrow morning. So he came back next day morning. And again, Prabhupada gave everything about Krishna consciousness to him for 2.5 days, 2 days. And then Prabhupada told Shyam Sundar Prabhu, a very famous example, that when you're cooking rice in a pot, you take 1 grain of rice. If that is cooked, the whole pot is cooked. Srila Prabhupada said, just seeing this Ivan, I know that Russian people are starved of Krishna consciousness. And when they get Krishna consciousness, they will grab it. And then again, next day, Prabhupada spoke to him. And then Prabhupada had to leave. And Ivan was very sad. And Srila Prabhupada told him to chant Hare Krishna, told him to follow 4 regulative principles. And then, what did Shyam Sundar Prabhu do? Give him that Bhagavad Gita, which was illegally brought inside the country. And Ivan took that Bhagavad Gita, he was so grateful. And from that Bhagavad Gita, he got it translated, handwritten copies, because they were scared of making Xerox copies also. So that handwritten Russian translation of the Bhagavad Gita that Prabhupada took to Russia, that was read by few people, and then they all became devotees. It's all happening undercover, under the iron curtain, as they say. So many people became devotees, and then there's another story of how KGB arrested them, put them in jail, the suffering they went through. There's another whole book on it called The Salted Bread. And there is a drama also done by Dwarkadish Prabhu and Vishaka Priya Mataji's team. You can watch that, it's there on YouTube. But the point I'm saying is, Bhagavad Gita entered Russia like this. So on the occasion of Gita Jayanti, we can meditate that how Srila Prabhupada's desire to save. Why Srila Prabhupada went to Russia? Simple, he said. There are so many souls suffering there because of lack of Krishna consciousness. So he saw himself as an instrument of Guru and Gauranga's mercy. He just had enthusiasm. He wanted to give Krishna. In 1977, August, Srila Prabhupada left this world in November 1977. In May 1977, he had such a bad health that he had to be rushed from Rishikesh to Vrindavan, and devotees assumed that he's leaving his body. He came to Vrindavan to leave his body in May 1977. But 3 months later, in August, when his body is extremely weak, he tells the devotees, I want to go to London for Rath Yatra. Then I want to go to Rome. Then I want to go to America. And devotees said, why? Prabhupada said, I want to express my gratitude to them for doing so much service for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Prabhupada goes to London, and in that car, when they are traveling from Vrindavan to Delhi airport, Prabhupada's Vrindavan friends are crying. They are saying, Swamiji, if something happens to you there, you are very old, very weak. And Prabhupada said, don't worry, nothing will happen. Srila Prabhupada said, I am a warrior. A warrior loves to die in the battlefield. So I want to give up my body, giving Krishna consciousness. See, again, I'll repeat again and again. This is not to be imitated. We cannot, Srila Prabhupada said, if we try to imitate great souls, we will die. So if you are having bad health, take care of your health. If you have fever, go to doctor. But Srila Prabhupada, this is his mood. So this is to get inspiration. He was so sick. He was supposed to go from London to America directly. And Bhagwan Prabhu comes and tells him, Prabhupada, no, you have to come to Paris first. We have arranged your program in Olympia Theatre. It's a huge theatre, huge auditorium, stadium, in a big stadium. Srila Prabhupada, you have to come there, and so many people will come. And Prabhupada says, no, but everything is tied up. All programs are there. So just for a few hours, he manages to convince Prabhupada to come to Paris. And Prabhupada is saying, but I've got... So then finally Prabhupada gives up arguing with Bhagwan Prabhu and says, okay, I will come. And devotees say, Prabhupada, but you are already packed. How much will you stretch yourself? Then Prabhupada said, what to do? He looked at Bhagwan Prabhu and said, what to do? Bhagwan is the supreme controller. I can't say no to Bhagwan. So basically he was desiring to give Krishna. That was his mood. So we cannot imitate, but we can be an instrument in his compassion. He wants to give, chalo, we'll help him in our own way. So like that is the mood of parampara. That is the mood of marathon. So it is interesting, in that period, in 1977, Srila Prabhupada could not walk. He was always on a wheelchair. At that particular period, he was very sick. He could not even see. So he had to wear thick sunglasses because the light was unbearable for his eyes. And he had no appetite. He could not eat anything, but he had this insatiable hunger to give Krishna. I mean, this is a paradox. This is like unbelievable. Antelila, 4th chapter, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sanatana Goswami's beautiful verses there. When he tells Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is exactly the mood of what Sanatana Goswami tells Mahaprabhu is the same mood of Prabhupada to his parampara, to the parampara. So you can repeat this verse. Sanatana Goswami says, Kashtera putaliyena कुअके न चाय आपने ना जाने पुतली केबा नाचे गाय. Sanatana Goswami is saying that a wooden doll, Kashtera putaliyena kuake na chai, it keeps dancing. A puppet, a wooden puppet keeps dancing. Apane na jane, the puppet doesn't know. Keba nachega, he doesn't know who is making him dance, how he is making him dance. So Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna, you are the puppeteer, I am the puppet in your hand, you make me dance. In fact, in his bhajan, when he came to America, when he entered America, he wrote the song, 2 songs he wrote, when he entered Boston. So there also he writes a similar line. You can repeat this. Nachao, nachao, Prabhu. Nachao se mate. Kashtera putaliyena. Nachao se mate. He's saying, my dear Krishna, make me dance. Nachao, nachao, make me dance. Make me dance the way you want because I am a wooden doll in your hand. So this is Srila Prabhupada's mood. And our qualification is that we have got that love of Srila Prabhupada. We have got his, that is the only qualification we have. So we can just be an instrument in his compassion. We can't be compassionate like Srila Prabhupada. So in the month of marathon, we can give Krishna to others. Now we saw Srila Prabhupada's sincerity and desire. Now let us also see briefly, I want to share, Srila Prabhupada is glorious. We all know that. Srila Prabhupada's disciples, what they did to show their sincerity and how Krishna helped them is also another miraculous story, which I want to share. It's a short story. Please listen to this carefully. This is the most miraculous production of 17 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita books, which happened in July, August 1975. This is a very, very interesting story. So you will have to hear attentively. It's very amazing. So this is now Ram Navami happening, April 20, 1975, Vrindavan. Now, this is a long story actually. I'm just making it short. So Ram Navami, Prabhupada is inaugurating Krishna Balaram deities in Vrindavan. And I don't know if you've seen this photograph. Prabhupada is doing Aarti in the altar of Krishna Balaram. First Aarti. He was so happy. Now, for those of you who don't know the context, Krishna Balaram temple opening was a very big adventure. He had come 1 year before and their devotee had promised him that temple is ready, and Prabhupada saw and he was angry and so upset because temple was not at all ready. And they had invited all the big dignitaries. Everything had to be cancelled. And Prabhupada stayed in Vrindavan and he fell sick, very high malaria, and devotees thought he is leaving his body. In fact, devotees all over the world in ISKCON started chanting Kirtan for Prabhupada's safety. It's a long story how Prabhupada was not eating anything for 4-5 weeks. Very sick. Anyway, all that adventure happened. Finally, now in 1975, Ram Navami, temple is opened. Prabhupada is so happy. And then, after the Aarti, he was so happy at the Krishna Balaram temple opening that in the altar itself, he stood and gave class. He did not come out of the altar. He was so happy that Krishna Balaram temple has opened. He was so happy. And then something interesting happened. This is, remember, April 20, 1975. So after the celebration, everybody took prasad, and the evening, Prabhupada in his room, Prabhupada's house you have seen in Krishna Balaram temple. He's sitting there. It was hot summer season. His shirt was not there, and his table. He was sitting there with his GBC men, big sannyasis, and he's beaming with great joy. Srila Prabhupada says, I am willing to spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees to make a temple like this. This is so important. And devotees are very happy because they had just made the temple. And they know what Srila Prabhupada said? I'm so happy I can spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees, but book production and book distribution is more important. Devotees were shocked. At that, see, it was not shocked, but in the sense they were amazed that in the midst of a splendid temple opening ceremony, Srila Prabhupada is in that wave, that mood, but where is his mind? Where is his heart? Book production and distribution is more important. So this was a significant reaffirmation. Books. Now why Srila Prabhupada is making so much emphasis? Now there is a story, backstory for that also. Chalega na, thoda idhar udhar jayenge. I'll just take some more time. It's a very interesting story. Because Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita was delayed. He had written in those 18 months, 1973-74, in those 18 months of that 2-year period, 1.5 years, he had completed all 17 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It was marathon writing, impossible to conceive humanly, it's not possible. For a 75-year-old man to do this. I think I'm a writer sometimes, and I know what it is to write one page. For him to write 17 volumes in 1.5 years, it's all the man. And not only that, he completed 4th canto. 4 volumes of 4th canto also, of Bhagavatam. And 5th canto of 1st volume was ready. All these manuscripts were ready and nothing was published. So Srila Prabhupada was getting agitated because he is sincerely extending himself so much. So Prabhupada said, so I want the books. So one devotee, he didn't understand Prabhupada's mood. He said, Prabhupada, because after Vrindavan, Prabhupada was traveling, America, Australia, like that. So Prabhupada said, the devotee said, Prabhupada, you are not traveling to Hawaii. So in Hawaii, you can write nicely. Prabhupada scoffed. When I'm not encouraged to write, when you're not publishing all the books I'm writing, well, then the devotees understood. So then, at that time, so no, you may think, क्या problem है? Prabhupada बोल रहे books छाप दो. No, that was a little. You have to understand the devotees' challenges and struggle and why their sincerity has to be also appreciated. See, it was not easy to publish the 17 books because BBT, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, ISKCON Press, it was located in New York all this time. It had just now shifted to Los Angeles. And after many years being in New York, they had shifted to Los Angeles. Now, when you shift the entire publication house to a new city, New York is East Coast, Los Angeles is West Coast. Even by flight, it takes 5 hours. You can imagine how, so to transfer all the equipment, do everything. It's not an easy job. The whole thing has shifted. And Rameshwar Swami was the in charge. He was the news press supervisor of the BBT press. He was also there in Vrindavan. And when he heard Prabhupada is very upset, and he didn't even know that there is a delay in publication, he said, Srila Prabhupada. He got very eager to please Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, we'll do it. Prabhupada said, okay. But then he said, I will look into the matter because he is the in charge. Now, Srila Prabhupada's urgency. I'll just tell you briefly what was Prabhupada doing at that time. He was doing 10 things same time and also writing books. See, I'll tell you as a writer a little bit. I've written around 7 books. I'll tell you from my experience. When I read all these things in the Lila Amrita, I realized out of these 10 things, you can do only maximum 2 or 3. You can't do all 10. No human being can do. And even if you can do those 2, 3, you can do those 2, 3 only. You cannot do writing also at the same time. Prabhupada was doing all the 10 things and he was also writing. And what are the 10 things he was doing? First, he was doing intense management of ISKCON. Doing seva is easy, Prabhus. Management, get seva done is more difficult than doing seva. So Prabhupada was doing intense management. Second, along with management, he was constantly traveling. Every 2-3 days, one city, another city. At the age of 75, it's not easy. Then Prabhupada was also confronting major problems of his leaders. Some of the leaders had serious problems and they had left their post. He had to deal with that energy. Then in India ISKCON was another world only. So Prabhupada had to attend to the GBC duties of India ISKCON. Okay, if this is not enough, Srila Prabhupada was also handling managerial affairs like checks and bill signing and seeing the details of the checks. This is like too much. Srila Prabhupada did that also. Then along with this, he was authorizing large BBT loans. And if this is not enough, he was approving expansion and development of major ISKCON projects. Okay, if this is all, okay. After all of this, every day huge mail, not electronic mail, postal mail. Prabhupada had to respond to all the disciples' problems, their concerns, their questions, answering all these letters. Okay, after all of this, what more Prabhupada was doing? Every day, wherever he was giving Bhagavatam classes. And he was meeting guests. Isn't this tiring for me? With reading about it only, I'm like, Baap re, thak gaya main sun ke. And then not only that, he was giving initiations also. And then somebody would say, Prabhupada, there is one television, or they want to have an interview. Like when I was in Amsterdam, they had to drive 3 hours one way and 3 hours back for a 2-minute interview. Prabhupada said, let us go. It is crazy what Prabhupada did. And still in this period, he also completed Chaitanya Charitamrita. 17 volumes. Isn't this amazing? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And when did he write? Anybody knows when he wrote? Midnight. He would wake up at midnight. When the whole world would be sleeping, he would wake up and start writing. You know, Mahatma Gandhi, he wrote many books. You know where he wrote those books? Anybody knows how he wrote those books? He was a politician. He was always meeting people. How could he write so many books? He wrote all his books in those 6 years when he was in jail. He said, that time I had nothing else to do but write. So, what I'm trying to say is, you can write only when you have peaceful. There was no external peace for Srila Prabhupada to write all these books that we are distributing now. He had no peace. He was with Krishna. That is love. Love is higher than peace. When you're in love, you may not be peaceful, but you're inspired. So Srila Prabhupada was driven by love of Krishna. And he was really upset because he is giving so many manuscripts and they're not being published. Again, one more time I will say, we cannot imitate what these devotees are now going to do, because Rameshwar Swami was the in charge, chairman of the BBT, and his assistant was Radha Vallabh. Now, Srila Prabhupada started pushing them. He was in Australia. He wrote a letter to them. When are you publishing the books? Our first business is books. Do combined team effort and produce the books. Rameshwar, Radha Vallabh, they are working hard to establish the BBT offices. See, book production is later. Pehle office they are making. And they are not able to sleep, not able to do anything. Just office has to be ready. And they had just completed lease agreements. They were just transferring things. And BBT artists, for the books to be published, the artists were needed, because all Prabhupada's books have paintings. So the artists had just arrived. And editors are needed. See, book publishing is not a small joke. Editors, proofreaders, production workers, they will be coming soon. They have not yet come. Rameshwar Swami and Radha Vallabh Prabhu, they are handling this real-time problem. Prabhupada is saying, I want the books. Now, what will these two devotees do? Okay. Now, they had purchased a computer typesetter. In 1975, this was very rare. And the devotees are learning how to use it so that the books can be published. And carpenters were knocking down walls because they had to make photo lab and dark room for the book publication. And plumbing work, 80% was pending. So plumbing was done because the building has to be ready and operational when Prabhupada comes by June. In 2 months, Prabhupada is going to come. So what happened now is nothing short of miracle. When we read Mahaprabhu went to Jharkhand forest, have you heard? He made tigers and deer embrace each other. We sometimes think, "Arey, aisa hua kya?" And atheistic people may think it is mythology. Similarly, now we have evidences, but after 500 years, if these evidences are not there, and if they only read that devotees did something like this, Prabhupada made hippies dance, people will think it's a mythology. Because it is not humanly possible. Because there was more problems. I just told you a few problems. I'll tell you what was a bigger problem. The BBT did not have expert Bengali editors. Chaitanya Charitamrita, see, they had Sanskrit editors. But to publish Chaitanya Charitamrita, you needed Bengali editors. And ISKCON did not have Bengali editors. So they are racking their brains what to do. And Srila Prabhupada wanted many paintings in the book. Now, painting is not a small job. It's a long process. Haridas Thakur Prabhu will explain, to make one painting, how much endeavor, how many months he had to spend. So all these paintings had to be done. It's a many months project. So Rameshwar Swami and Radha Vallabh, they sat down, they started straining their brains. Okay, we have to do something. Prabhupada wants the books. Let us have an increased productivity step-up plan. And they realized that one book will take 4 months. One book will take 4 months. So they made an emergency meeting. We have to do something. But then they said, okay. They made this amazing plan that we can produce one book in 2 months. And we push more in 1.5 months to 2 months, one book will come out. That means 17 volumes will come when? In 3 years. Approximately 3 years. No? 17 to 34, 36 months. 3 saal pakdo. But they were ready. They were excited. Means 100% increase in production. From 4 months, one book to 2 months. They were super excited. When Prabhupada comes, we'll tell him, Srila Prabhupada, we are doing this for you. We are really determined to do this. So excited. But meanwhile, more phone calls are coming. Srila Prabhupada has come from Australia to Hawaii. Secretary is calling. Prabhupada is angry. He is asking, where are the books? Rameshwar, Radha Vallabh. Yes, books are coming. And then after some time, they opened the BBT building and Prabhupada's name was not put on the board. And again, Secretary, Prabhupada would get the news, what is happening? Prabhupada's name is not, and that was a big, they had, overlooked an important detail. You can imagine, you are opening a building of Prabhupada and Prabhupada's name is not there. So then Prabhupada is angry. Okay, they are running around, they are trying their best. And finally, Prabhupada comes to Los Angeles in June 1975. And arrival address, Prabhupada, wherever he would go, first he would, as soon as he would enter the temple, he would first give an arrival address. And then he would go to the room, get fresh and give evening class. So in the arrival address, the first thing he tells all of them, and all big sannyasis are there, leaders, Bhavananda Swami, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Kirtanana Swami, they are all like Maharathis. And in front of all of them, Prabhupada is telling all the devotees, please give me books. My Guru Maharaj wanted books. When he was at Radha Kund, my Guru Maharaj told me, where are books? If you get money, print books. So I am begging you, kindly help me. Please print books. Publish books and distribute books as much as possible. The world will be saved by Krishna consciousness. Intense lecture, intense talk. Then Prabhupada went to his room. It was late night. Next day morning was the morning walk. Wherever Prabhupada went, he went on a morning walk. And this particular morning walk is the most historical day in the history of ISKCON. This is the morning walk in the famous Venice Beach in Los Angeles, where Prabhupada delivered an extraordinary ultimatum, which has never been repeated before or after. Na bhutva na bhavishyati. What happened is something sensational. Devotees are walking in the morning walk. Rameshwar, Radha Vallabh, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, everybody is there. Have you seen those videos? Prabhupada's morning walk videos, they're on YouTube. Beautiful. Srila Prabhupada is walking. Waves are gently touching the shores. Birds are chirping. Dogs are barking. Cool breeze. Early morning. Sattvic. Beautiful environment. Prabhupada is walking and Prabhupada says, these 17 unpublished volumes. This is a great problem for our movement. And Rameshwar, Radha Vallabh, and the devotees, yes, Prabhupada. Yes, for everything they would say, yes, Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada says, I think something must be immediately done. Prabhupada said. So devotees immediately, yes, Prabhupada, yes, Prabhupada. Then again Prabhupada is walking. And then again after some time, I think we should do all of these books in 2 months. And Srila Prabhupada did not say I think, is it possible? Hoga kya? Conclusively, we should do it in 2 months. So Rameshwar Swami was there. They had already made a plan, super plan. What is that plan? 1 book in. So Rameshwar Swami, when Prabhupada said that, he thought, nahi, suna nahi. He was in denial. Nahi, Prabhupada ne aisa nahi bola hai. He was not sure whether he heard correctly. So he looked at Radha Vallabh on the other side. They realized that now is the time to tell Prabhupada our plan. We have not yet told him our plan. So he came on this side. So now they explained, they made a whole presentation. While walking, a realistic plan. Now Radha Vallabh and Rameshwar on one side. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Kirtanana Swami there on the other side. All the big leaders. And their Prabhupada is walking. And they explained the whole plan. Prabhupada, 2 mahine mein ek book aayega. Aisa karke pura plan bata diya. 3 saal mein sab ho jayega. Perfect. Prabhupada heard that they are doing 100% more. Srila Prabhupada, after hearing the whole thing, Prabhupada said, not fast enough. And when Prabhupada said that, everybody looked at Rameshwar and Radha Vallabh. And what did both of them do? They looked at each other. What is Srila Prabhupada saying? And then again Prabhupada continued to walk. And devotees are walking. They already explained their plan. Abhi iske aage kuch nahi kar sakte. And again Prabhupada is walking. And again Prabhupada looked at them after a few seconds and he said, all books must be done in 2 months. Now Rameshwar Swami heard. He said, now he realized that he has heard properly. Now there is no doubt. Pehle bar suna, he thought he had not heard properly or Prabhupada may not have said it. Now there was no doubt. Prabhupada actually said all the books in 2 months. This time both of them heard and both the managers were stunned in disbelief. They could not believe what they heard. And immediately Rameshwar said, Prabhupada, this is impossible because we are doing already 100% more effort and in 2 months we'll come out with 1 book. Impossible. And when Prabhupada heard that impossible word, Srila Prabhupada was walking, his cane, he firmly placed it on the sand and he stopped. Without anger, but firm and grave voice. Prabhupada looked at Rameshwar and Radha Vallabh and said, impossible? The very famous quote of Napoleon Bonaparte. Srila Prabhupada used that quote. He said, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. Now what will Rameshwar and Radha Vallabh do? Rameshwar realized now that their spiritual life was now online. Now if they say impossible, that means they are doubting Krishna's representative. Now if they say impossible, that means they have no faith in God. Both of them realize now we have to throw away our rational estimation, common sense, logic. ये सब फेंकना पड़ेगा. So Rameshwar and Radha Vallabh, they are so stunned, they stood there speechless. And Prabhupada continued to walk. The devotees were walking. All the devotees were walking. It took them few seconds. They realized what had happened. Then they ran. And they came and Prabhupada was there. And when they came, everybody is looking at both of them. Come on, as if to say, come on, aapko karna hai abhi. Because they are the in charge and they have a team. You have to do it. And then Prabhupada, they are like stunned. Their brain completely hang ho gaya system. And they come back to temple. Prabhupada is looking at the new building, BBT building. Oh, very nice painting, very building. He's looking at all the things. And then they showed him new equipment, technology of the BBT building. Prabhupada saw all the equipment. And so Prabhupada, is it nice? Prabhupada said, very good. And then he stopped. He looked at Rameshwar and Radha Vallabh and he said, all this equipment and technology is very good if you can produce 17 volumes in 2 months. Otherwise, it's all waste. Both were shaken. They ran, they had a meeting, emergency meeting, and they realized that some mystical power has to descend. And this has to happen. And then they somehow took that courage, but then a leap of faith. They went to Srila Prabhupada's room and said, Srila Prabhupada, it will be done. We will do it in 2 months. And what was Srila Prabhupada's response? Any guess? Srila Prabhupada said, that's all. But then Rameshwar said, Prabhupada, we'll do this in 2 months, but the paintings will not be of the best quality. Because no, see, you have to compromise somewhere. You can't get everything the way. So Prabhupada said, famous quote, that's okay. Blind uncle is better than no uncle. There's an English saying. So then the Rameshwar and Radha Vallabh ran. They realized the marathon was on. In 2 months, they have to produce 17 volumes. Now they started round the clock. Morning, 4 a.m., they got up. By 6 a.m., their japa was done. And till next day, 2 a.m., with 1 meal a day, they started working. So what first they had to do? They had to get additional editors. Try to understand what devotees had to go through. They had to get additional editors, proofreaders, layout men, painters, photographers, indexers, typists. And they had to get them from all over ISKCON world, without WhatsApp, Instagram, without social media. Communication, look at the communication system. Unprecedented team effort and coordination happened, and the best talent from everywhere landed there in BBT office. And you know what they did? Most unimaginable thing. Kingsport Press was the largest printer in America at that time. They negotiated with them. They convinced this Kingsport Press to push back all their other assignments and release their printers only for publishing the 17 volumes on a 24-hour working basis. This is an unbelievable negotiation. Matlab, kya negotiation kiya rahega? And then there was a paper company in New York. They managed to convince that paper company of New York to supply unlimited paper to meet all the deadlines. And the top photographers of BBT was sent to Bengal and Orissa, India, because Chaitanya Charitamrita mostly is from Bengal, Orissa area. Pastimes of Mahaprabhu. So they had to go and take photographs of those places. So the photographers are in Bengal and Orissa villages to take photographs. Now, painters have questions. Details about the books, the paintings. The editors have questions. Srila Prabhupada said, I will be available anytime you want. So they would go to Prabhupada with questions about painting, about editing. Prabhupada gave them time. Now, I want to make one important clarification here. Sometimes we may think goals are important. We have to get the goal done. No, Prabhupada focused on the value. There is a difference between values and goals. The value here is, offering Krishna. The value here is compassion. The value here is sharing Krishna consciousness. The value here, that is the value. The goal is, do maine mein karna hai. If we don't have goals, we'll become lazy. But sometimes we become so focused on goals that we forget the value, why we are doing. And then if you're only focused on goal, then you will cut corners. You will do chalu kam. So Prabhupada focused on the value also. Because there was one lady, Gauri Devi, she was one of the painters. And one of the paintings was not so good. So when devotee pointed out, Prabhupada looked at that painting and he said, he had tears in his eyes. He said, what a devotional painting. And the one devotee said, Prabhupada, but this painting has technical flaw. He showed that technical fault. Prabhupada said, no, look at her devotion which is coming out. So Gauri Devi was surprised that Prabhupada was looking at something beyond external. He was seeing the sincerity of the devotees. So anyway, Srila Prabhupada was giving that time 4 times association in a day. Morning Bhagavatam class, morning walk, darshan to devotees, meeting guests. So these devotees had to give up all of that. Now they had been waiting for 1 year to see Prabhupada, and Prabhupada has come to Los Angeles. They cannot take his association. They have to just complete this marathon. And then devotees would be painting, doing their work, and they would slump on the desk, on their typewriters, or they would lie behind their easels, painting easels. And sometimes artists, they would fall asleep while painting. And another artist would come, complete it, and send it for printing. It was like intense marathon. And Rameshwar Swami, he was orchestrating the whole thing with no sleep. He was in charge of 4 P's. Printer, coordination with printer, painters, photographers, and paper company. So he was doing all of that. And Radha Vallabh Prabhu's main job was to ensure that the deadlines are all met. So he was like Paramatma, he was everywhere. And one day, one evening he felt I should get some mercy. So he went to be with Srila Prabhupada's evening darshan. And he was sitting like all of you are sitting, he was sitting in one place, corner, and hearing Prabhupada's class. And Prabhupada looked at his direction, and with great love, he said, you are doing so much for Krishna. I think I'm keeping you here. Immediately he realized that, oh, he has work to do. And devotees also looked at him, and then immediately got up and he excused himself and went back to work. So like that, they went on working, and guess what happened? In 2 months, they completed it. Because they did not reject Srila Prabhupada's order. They did not modify his order. They did not change his order. What they did? They modified their own life. They changed their own life. They went beyond the routine work, the realm of routine work, to some extraordinary dimension. And both parties derived great satisfaction. Srila Prabhupada was greatly satisfied to see the sacrifice of his devotees. And devotees were greatly satisfied because they were going beyond ordinary effort to do something for Srila Prabhupada. And the first set of copies, when they arrived, you know what they did? They offered them at the altar. At Los Angeles, the deities are Rukmini, Dwarkadish. And all the books were offered, and the curtain opened. And when the curtain opened, the temple hall was packed. And all devotees were crying. Actually, they were wailing. And they were only chanting 2 mantras. Not Hare Krishna mantra or Panchatattva mantra. You know what mantra they are chanting? We all can chant together. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. These 2 mantras they kept chanting for half an hour. They kept chanting and crying because they saw this happen, which they thought was impossible. So they saw themselves as instruments in Srila Prabhupada's impossible mission. Mission Impossible. Original, Mission Impossible. And then they wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was celebrating his 80th birthday in Vrindavan at that time. This is August now. He gets these books. He gets a letter on his 80th birthday. Look at it's like a movie. Perfect movie. Puras. It comes, Prabhupada gets this letter and the books. Prabhupada is so happy. On his 80th birthday, it's happened. And the letter, they write, Rameshwar Swami and the whole team, they write the letter saying that we have lost all desire for anything in life. Only one desire we have, to make you happy. And they signed the letter with, "You are unworthy servants" at ISKCON press, like that. They write, and the Prabhupada starts crying when he reads this letter. And then he writes a letter back to Rameshwar Swami and company. And he writes a whole letter saying that you have fulfilled the desire of my spiritual master. And then with deep gratitude he says, for this one effort, all of you are guaranteed to go back home, back to Krishna after this lifetime. So we see, we took two examples. One was Prabhupada going to Russia. Of course, that boy's example also, one was distributing books. And we also saw Prabhupada's disciples' example, where there is sincerity, dadami buddhi yogam. Krishna gives the intelligence. Again, I'll repeat, I'll end by saying, don't imitate this. This is just to get inspiration and do our own part. So I want to pause here at this point because I'm abruptly ending because it's 10:45. We have time for questions. We'll take one or two questions and then we have some announcements. Yes. Any comments or questions? Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. No. He was put in by KGB, caught him and harassed, tortured him. They messed up with his physical. He sacrificed, like Abhimanyu. So a lot of people, it's like, in the commandos when they enter, the first few people have to sacrifice their life, right? So it was. Yeah, some devotees had come. I forget the name, and they had made a whole presentation on that salted bread. And yes, I forget the two devotees that come. Yes. You can hear more from our Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj about Russia. He was a scientist. KGB, KGB calls you to their office. They are like the spy, secret service agents. If they call you to your office, that means nobody who has come to their office has gone outside the office alive. So Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj was a student and he started chanting Hare Krishna. He was a scientist, started experimenting with Hare Krishna. So people there one of his roommates started suspecting that. Initially, they started suspecting he's sending some coded messages to some other Americans, because America and Russia were enemies. So then they understood he's doing something like that. So then they suspected, and then KGB got involved. He was invited to that meeting in KGB office. He knew that Abhi andar gaya to khatam. So in that meeting, they grilled him, and he was intensely chanting Hare Krishna in the mind. Krishna, help me. And suddenly, what happened? This KGB agents was interrogating him. They went blank. They told him go. He came out alive. And he was shocked what happened. And after 3-4 months, they realized what happened to them. They again called him. I think this happened 3 or 4 times. So holy name, Krishna saved him. So that was a very horrible period during communist regime there. But these devotees took so much risk for spreading Srila Prabhupada's books and mission. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Anybody has any other question or comment? Or we'll stop. So yes, Mataji. Yes. Little bit, Tino. I will have to zoom into each of this. I told you the overall broad pastime. But I'm sure they had devotees who knew English. I even knew a little bit of English also. But then there were other devotees. It's a long story. I don't know all the details. I'll have to read up. But you will get all of it. You will get all the details from YouTube. There are so many books. There's a book called Salted Bread. If you read that now, you'll get all the details. How they translated and how they were sent to Siberia, how they were tortured. All of that we can get all the details. I am not aware right now. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Transcendental Book Distribution Marathon ki jai. Gita Jayanti Maha Mahotsav ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.